The sky above Varelia was full of smoke. Fires burned across the ground. The alien city was quiet now, broken only by the sound of falling rubble and far-off explosions. The once beautiful towers stood cracked and broken. Bodies lay on the ground, some covered with cloth, others forgotten in the dust. The people of Varelia had sent out a call for help. Their message was clear. They were under attack by the Drexar, a cruel and powerful enemy. They asked the Galactic Union to come, asked their allies to protect them. No one came. Inside the command center, General Solian stood, staring at a cracked screen. His green skin looked pale under the dim lights. Around him, a few tired soldiers sat at their posts. They had not slept in days. Solian had been proud once. Now he felt only fear. They had trusted the Alliance, but the Alliance was silent. He had sent the same message again and again. Still no answer. His assistant, a thin female named Pyrrha, walked over. Her hands were shaking. She said no new replies. Still nothing. Solian nodded without speaking. He already knew. The Drexar had cut off the roads. Supplies were low. Medical tents were full. The soldiers were tired and many had lost hope. Were asked, "Should we try again?" Before he could answer, the screen in front of him blinked. A new signal came in. It was small and not from any known fleet. The signal was human. Far away, on the edge of known space, a small ship flew toward Varelia. It was not large or strong. It had no fleet behind it. It was called the Horizon Spark, and its captain was a human named Laura Price. She was calm and smart. She had seen war before. Now she flew into one again. Her crew was small. Josh Lane was the engineer, always busy with wires and machines. Tyler Brooks flew the ship. He used to be a soldier, and he still thought like one. Rachel Moore was there. Medic. She had a soft voice and a strong heart. They had picked up the signal by accident. No one had told them to come. They came because they chose to. Inside the Horizon Spark, Laura looked at the screen showing Varelia. It was worse than she had thought. She turned to her crew. "We will land near the southern edge. Stay alert," Josh said. "This isn't our fight." Laura looked at him. "It is now." The ship landed with a heavy shake. Dust rose around them. The air smelled like smoke and burning metal. A group of alien soldiers stood waiting. They were shocked to see humans. One stepped forward and said, "Only one ship." Laura nodded. "Got your message." The alien shook his head. "He asked for help from our allies. We did not expect Dachu." Tyler frowned but said nothing. He looked around. The base was barely standing. There were wounded everywhere. Children hid behind broken walls. It was clear they needed help, even if they did not trust it. General Solian came forward. He looked tired but stood straight. Said, "You are humans. We have heard stories. Wild. Dangerous, not to be trusted," Laura said. "Stories are not always true. Show us where we can help." Solian hesitated, then pointed to a broken building. "Our defense system is down. We are blind." Josh nodded. "I can fix that," Laura said. "We will do what we can." That night, the Drexar attacked again. Their ships flew low, firing from the sky. The alien soldiers ran to defend, but their guns were slow. Laura and her team joined the fight. Tyler took a scout craft and flew into the air. He dodged blasts and took out 2 enemy ships using fast turns and tricks the Drexar did not expect. On the ground, Josh worked fast with wires and tools. Sparks flew, but the screens lit up again. The defense grid came back online. Laser turrets fired into the sky. Rachel moved from tent to tent, helping the wounded. Her hands were steady even when the walls shook. When the fight ended, the Drexar had pulled back. The aliens stood in silence. One of them said, "They made a difference." General Solian looked at Laura. He did not smile, but he gave a small nod. "We did not believe in you." "Now we are not so sure," Laura said. "We are not here for thanks. Are here to fight." That night, the stars above Varelia looked cold and far away. But on the ground, for the first time in days, there was a small bit of hope. And it had come not from old friends, but from strangers who chose to answer the call. The next morning on Varelia was quiet. Smoke still rose from the ruins, but the sky was clear. The people walked through the wreckage, tired but alive. In the center of the base, the human ship stood like a strange statue. Some of the alien soldiers watched it with fear, others with respect. Inside the command building, Captain Laura Price looked over a map of the battlefield. She pointed to the weak points where the enemy might strike again. General Solian stood beside her. He listened but did not speak much. He was still unsure. He had seen the humans fight, but one victory did not change old beliefs. Laura said, "The Drexar will come again. They want to break your will. We can help, but you must let us." Solian looked at her. "You have few weapons, only one ship. You think you can change the war?" Laura answered. "Sometimes a small fire starts a bigger one." Tyler Brooks was already outside. He walked the edges of the camp, watching the soldiers train. He saw fear in their eyes. They moved without energy. Their leaders gave orders, but no one shouted back. Tyler did not wait for permission. He stepped into the field and called out, "You fight like you're already dead. That must change." The soldiers stared at him. One of them, a tall alien with blue skin, stepped forward. "You think you can train us?" "No," Tyler said. "I know I can." "Want to live? Listen." He showed them simple drills, fast movements, surprise attacks, ways to fight even when the enemy is stronger. At first, they refused. Then one joined, and another. By sunset, a group of them was following his orders. They were sweating, tired, but awake in a new way. Near the wrecked power station, Josh Lane worked with broken wires and old alien tech. He had never seen machines like these, but he smiled. New problems made him think faster. A young alien engineer came to help him. Her name was Liren. She watched him work with wide eyes. Josh said, "You see this wire? It's not broken, just badly placed." Liren nodded. "Our tech is old. We do not fix it this way." Josh laughed. "But then maybe it's time to learn something new." Together, they got the station running again. Lights returned to part of the city. It was a small victory, but the people noticed. In the medical tents, Rachel Moore moved from bed to bed. Her hands were fast, her eyes calm. The alien nurses followed her lead. They had never seen someone work with so much care and speed. Rachel did not speak much, but her actions were clear. She saved lives. One of the young soldiers said, "Why do you do this? Well, these are not your people." Rachel looked at him. "Hurt is hurt. It doesn't care about race or planet." That night, another Drexar ship came close. It did not fire. It watched from the sky, then flew off. A message followed. The Drexar spoke to all. "Your hope is false. Your pain will return. You cannot win." Solian played the message in the main hall. The room was full. Soldiers, workers, children. Fear returned to their eyes. Some whispered, some cried. Laura stepped forward. "They want you to give up," she said. "They want you to believe no one will stand with you. But we are here. We are not many, but we are enough to fight. If you stand with us," a voice called from the back, "you are not one of us. Why should we die for your words?" Tyler walked up beside her. "Because you will die either way, but with us, you might win." The room went quiet, then Liren stepped forward. "I will fight. I saw how they work. They fixed our power. They trained us. They stayed." Slowly, more voices joined. The crowd did not cheer, but they did not leave either. The next day, Laura shared her plan. The Drexar had supply ships landing far to the east. If they could stop those ships, the enemy would lose food and fuel. Solian said, "It is suicide." Laura said, "It is risk." But better than waiting to die, a small team went with them. Tyler flew a scout craft. The others moved on the ground through old tunnels. They reached the landing zone and waited. When the Drexar ships arrived, the humans and aliens struck fast. Explosions lit the sky. Supply crates burned. The Drexar fought back hard. Tyler flew through laser fire, pulling sharp turns. One engine was hit. Smoke filled the cockpit, but He kept flying. On the ground, Laura led the team through chaos. They used speed and surprise. Josh set off traps he built with scrap. When it was over, 2 Drexar ships were gone. The rest flew away. The team returned with wounds but alive. Solian met them at the gate. He looked at Laura with new eyes. "That was bold," Laura said. "That was just the start." For the first time, the flag of Virilia was raised again. It waved in the wind, torn but standing. And beside it, a small human flag was placed. The people saw it and whispered. The humans were not like the others. They had come when no one else said. They had fought not for power, but because someone needed to. The Drexar would return. But now, Virilia had fighters. Now they had hope, and they had the most dangerous species in the galaxy standing with them. The sun rose over Virilia, lighting up the broken city. The damage was still there, but the people moved with more purpose now. Hope had returned, even if only in a small way. The humans had shown something new. They had shown that the Drexar could be hurt. Inside the command center, Captain Laura Price met with General Solian and several young alien officers. She stood beside a large table with a map spread across it. She pointed to a supply route marked in red. "This is where they bring their fuel and food. If we hit here, we weaken them. They will not be able to keep up the pressure." One of the young officers, a sharp-eyed female named Nira, asked, "But how can we strike there? We have no large ships, no real army." Laura nodded. "We use speed. Surprise, we use the land and shadows. Not every fight is won with size." Solian looked at the others. "I will not order anyone to follow this plan, but those who wish to try may go." Nira stood. "I will go." Others followed. They were young, some unsure, but they believed in what they had seen. The humans trained with them for 2 days. Tyler Brooks led small squads through broken streets and old tunnels. He showed them how to move fast, how to hide, how to strike. Without being seen, Rachel Moore checked the fighters before they left. She gave them field kits and simple advice. Look after each other. You fight better when you are not alone. Josh Lane worked late in the night with Lyrian and her team. They built traps from old tech and human tools. They placed signal blockers along the route. The Drexar would not see the attack coming. When the day came, the strike team moved out. They wore no special armor, no great weapons, but their eyes were clear. They moved fast, guided by Tyler through narrow paths. They reached the Drexar supply road by night. The road was quiet, guarded by only a few Drexar patrols. The traps were already in place. As the first supply vehicle moved into the ambush zone, Laura gave the signal. Explosions lit up the road. The Drexar guards shouted and fired, but they could not find the attackers. The humans and their allies struck hard, then vanished into the dark. More explosions followed. 2 large fuel trucks burned bright, sending thick smoke into the sky. The rest of the convoy turned back in panic. The mission was a success. Back at the base, the news spread quickly. The people gathered in the main square. They cheered as the team returned. For the first time in weeks, there was celebration. General Solian stood before the crowd. He raised his hand for silence. Today, the enemy lost more than supplies. They lost control. They lost fear. And we gained something greater. We gained belief. He turned to Laura. Came with no promise, no command. But you fight like this world is your own. Laura said, "Every world where people are hunted should feel like our own." That night, Nira and Tyler spoke by the fire. Nira said, "You humans are strange. You do not act like soldiers." Tyler smiled. "We are soldiers when we must be. See the rest. Of the time, we try to be human. You take risks. Too many. Take risks because someone must." She looked at him for a long time. Then she nodded. "I see now why they call you dangerous." In the morning, Rachel walked through the market square. People waved to her. Children ran beside her. She smiled but said little. Her eyes were tired. She had seen too many wounded. Josh fixed a water purifier in the lower district. Lyrian worked beside him. She asked, "When this war ends, will you stay?" Josh laughed. I like moving. Maybe I'll stay long enough to fix a few more things. Quiet did not last long. A Drexar scout ship flew over the city. It did not fire, but it sent a message. You think you are strong? You think these humans will save you? But they will leave, and you will burn. The voice was cold. The message was simple: surrender or be destroyed. In the command center, the officers argued. Some wanted to hide. Some wanted to send another message to the Galactic Union. Solian raised his voice. We already sent our message. No one answered, except them. He pointed to the humans. Laura stepped forward. Can hit them again. Strike at their fuel depot near the western ridge. I'll hurt them worse than before. Nira agreed. We know the land. We can guide you. Solian looked around the room. Then we fight. No more waiting. No more begging. The new mission was more dangerous. The depot was heavily guarded. But if they destroyed it, the Drexar would be forced to slow their attacks. Laura's plan was bold. Use a small decoy team to draw the guards. Then a second team would strike the storage tanks. Tyler would fly cover.
Josh
would control the signal jammers. Rachel would stay behind, ready for wounded. The night before the mission, the team gathered quietly. No speeches, just nods and firm grips on shoulders. As the sun rose, the team moved into place. The decoy team started first. They made noise, drew attention, and pulled the Drexar guards away. Then the second team moved in. They placed charges on the tanks. The explosions shook the ground. Fire rose high into the sky. The Drexar tried to respond, but Tyler flew low, drawing fire and breaking their lines. He was hit twice, but kept flying. The team escaped through the hills. When they returned, Rachel was waiting. Some were bleeding, some limped, but they were alive. The depot was gone. So with it, the Drexar lost more power. Now Virilia had done what no one else had. They had struck fear into the Drexar. And they had done it beside the humans, the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The war was not over, but the tide had turned, and the fire the humans started was only beginning to grow. The Drexar did not stay silent for long. After the fuel depot was destroyed, they came back with anger. Their ships flew low and fast. This time they attacked the refugee camps outside the main city. These camps had no weapons, only families. And injured people? Flames covered the sky. Screams filled the air. The alien defenders rushed to help, but they were too late to stop the first wave. Homes made from cloth and metal were burned to the ground. People ran, carrying children, dragging the weak. Rachel Moore was already moving. She shouted orders to the alien medics. She held pressure on a child's wound as the ground shook. Her hands were covered in blood, but she did not stop, not for 1 second. Back at the base, Captain Laura Price stood with General Solian. They watched from the command tower. She clenched her fists. They did this because we hurt them.
How they
try to break us by hitting the weakest. Solian looked down. Some of our people say we should stop. That your kind brought more fire. Laura faced him. Then let them say it. But we did not drop the bombs on their heads. The Drexar did. Cannot. Run now. Outside, many refugees sat with blank faces. Some cried. Some just stared at the smoke. A few soldiers argued near the wall. This is too much. We cannot win, one said. The humans made it worse, said another. Tyler Brooks stood nearby. He heard them all. He walked up and said, You're right, it got worse, but not because of us. It got worse because evil hates resistance. He pointed toward the ruins. They want you to be quiet. Bow your heads. That is what they fear, that you might stand up again. That night, a small group tried to leave the city. They wanted to surrender to the Drexar. They thought it might save them. Solian stopped them at the gate. You may go, he said, but do not ask others to follow. Laura heard about it. She gathered the soldiers and refugees in the square the next morning. Her voice was tired but strong. We know what fear feels like. We know what it means to be hunted. But running never brings peace. She looked around. Earth was once like this. Small, weak, alone. We were not born strong. We became strong because no one came when we needed help, so we learned to fight. And we learned to never let others stand alone. Her words spread through the people. Not everyone believed, but many did. They stayed. They prepared. The Drexer did not stop. A few days later, they sent a large force to attack the West Gate. It was a full strike, not a test. Laura and Tyler led the defense. Josh set up new barriers with help from Liren. Rachel and the medics moved the weak deeper into the city. The fight was long. Laser fire lit the sky. Explosions rocked the ground. One tower fell. Several alien soldiers died, but the line held. Just barely. When the smoke cleared, bodies were everywhere. Bleeding from his arm, Josh had burns on his side. Rachel worked all night, patching wounds, stitching cuts. No one slept. The Drexer pulled back, but they had sent a message. They were not going to give up. Solian sat with Laura late that night. They drank water and stared at the map. They will come again, stronger. Laura nodded, and we must hit them. First, she pointed to their main command ship. It stayed in orbit above the planet, always watching. We take out their eyes, their brain. We hit that ship. Solian frowned. It is suicide. It is war. And war does not reward the careful. Laura called a meeting with her team. Tyler agreed right away. Josh looked at the plan and shook his head. This will take everything we have. And we give everything, she said. They spent 2 days preparing. Tyler fixed up a stolen Drexar shuttle. Josh built signal blockers and remote triggers. Nira and a group of alien fighters joined. Rachel gave each person a small med kit and a quiet look. She did not speak much, but her eyes said everything. The plan was to fly close, pretend to be a Drexar patrol ship, and slip past the main guard line. Then plant charges on the outer hull and destroy a weak point. If they failed, they would all die. They flew at night. The stars were cold. The shuttle shook with each move. Inside, no one spoke. The target grew larger in front of them. Tyler flew. With steady hands, the Drexar scanner pinged them, but Josh sent back the false codes. It worked. They passed the gate. They landed on a small platform near the ship's side. The team moved fast. Nira and her fighters planted the charges. Josh timed the sequence. Laura gave the final check. Then the alarm sounded. The Drexer knew. They ran for the shuttle. Laser fire hit the walls. One alien was hit. Tyler pulled the ship up with fire chasing them. The charges exploded. Ripped through the Drexar command ship. The lights in the sky flickered. The ship turned slowly, then broke apart. Flames spread across the sky. Back on Varelia, people watched with wide eyes. They had never seen such a thing. The Drexer ship was falling. The shuttle returned. The city cheered. For the first time, they had struck deep. Rachel waited at the gate. She hugged Josh without a word. Tyler sat down and laughed. Laura looked up at the stars. Now they know we are not afraid. The battle was not over. The enemy would return, what the humans had taken. The fight into the sky, it had shown that no one was untouchable, not even the Drexer. And Varelia no longer stood alone. The air above Varelia was quiet for 2 days. No Drexer ships came. No messages were sent. But the silence did not bring peace. Everyone knew it would not last. The enemy was only waiting. It's planning something worse. Laura Price sat in the command room with General Solian and the other leaders. She pointed at the latest scans. They have sent another fleet. Bigger this time. It will reach us in less than 3 days. Solian leaned forward. We cannot survive a full attack like that, not with what we have left. Laura spoke clearly. Then, we strike first. We attack them before they get here. We go now. Tyler Brooks stood near the window. He looked at the stars. We still have the scout ship. I can fly low and fast, get under their scans, hit their forward ship. If we break their lead, the rest will fall into confusion. Josh Lane said, "It won't be enough on its own. We attack from two sides at once. They might think we have more support." Solian looked at them. "We do not have enough ships." "Then we fake it," Laura said. "Use old drones. Put lights on broken ships. Make them think a full fleet is arriving." Liren, the young alien engineer, nodded. "I can help with that. We still have a few signal projectors left." Preparations began right away. Rachel Moore led the effort to move civilians deeper underground. She turned schools and storerooms into shelters. She checked every child herself. When people asked if they would survive, she said, "If we fight like we did before, yes." In the hangar, Josh and Liren worked day and night. They painted old cargo ships to look like warships. They placed heat sources to trick enemy scanners. Tyler tested flight paths. He would lead the real strike from the front. The next evening, Laura gathered the strike team. She looked at each one. Their faces were hard. Some were afraid, but all stood ready. "We will not let them surround us. We will not wait to be crushed. We will go to them. We'll make them think Earth stands behind us." They launched the next morning. Tyler flew ahead in the scout ship. Behind him, a small group of ships followed. Most were empty or broken, but from a distance, they looked real. The trick worked. The Drexar fleet paused. Their formation changed. They moved slower. At the same time, ground teams fired old missiles. Into the sky, Josh triggered signal bursts from hidden points. Everything pointed to a large incoming force. Tyler reached the front ship. He flew fast and close. He dropped 2 bombs on the engines. They exploded in bright flashes. The Drexar ship spun and fell out of line. The rest of the fleet opened fire. But they aimed in the wrong direction. The fake ships moved just far enough to keep the lie going. By the time the Drexar realized the truth, it was too late. On the ground, alien fighters attacked from the mountains. Nira led them with speed and skill. They hit Drexar landing points and fuel drops. The enemy was cut off, inside the city. Laura stood at the front line. She led the defense as the smaller ships landed Drexar troops. The fight was hard. Explosions tore through buildings. Smoke filled the streets. But the defenders stood firm. Rachel turned one medical tent into a command post. She patched wounds and gave quick orders. Her hands moved without rest. At one point, she was helping a soldier when the wall beside her exploded. She did not move away. She covered the soldier with her own body and waited for the dust to clear. Josh was hit by debris near the generator station. He kept working. He crawled to the control panel and used a broken tool to restart the defense guns. When the guns fired again, the enemy ships pulled back. Hours passed. The enemy kept pushing. But slowly, the attack began to fail. The Drexar could not hold the sky. Their ground troops were trapped. Their fuel lines were cut. They had lost. Controlled as night came, the last of the Drexar forces pulled away. Fires burned across the city, but the people still stood. Humans had done it again. They had taken a hopeless fight and turned it. In the main hall, Solian gave a short message. "We were alone. But now we are not. These humans came with nothing. No orders, no army. And yet they gave us more than weapons. They gave us fire." People of Aurelia cheered. Some cried. Others just stood with wide eyes as if still unsure if it was real. Tyler sat beside the scout ship, arms bandaged, face bruised. He smiled. "We made them run." Laura stood beside him. "We made them afraid." Rachel walked through the tents. She saw a small girl holding a cloth doll. The girl looked up and smiled. Rachel smiled back. She sat down and wrapped her arm around her. Josh limped to the center square. Liren helped him sit. He looked up at the stars. "They won't forget this," Liren said. "Neither will we." That night, no one slept much. The city had won a great fight, but the war was not done. Still, something had changed. People no longer waited for others to save them. They had fought with humans, and they had won. And across the galaxy, the name of Earth began to spread. Not as a place of danger, but as a place of strength. A place where people came when no one else would. No allies came.
The most dangerous
Species in the galaxy had responded, and they had not come to destroy. They had come to stand. Virelia was quiet again, but this time it felt different. The streets were still broken, and the buildings still carried the marks of battle, but the people walked taller now. There was pride in their steps. The Drexar had left, had pulled back from the planet, not because they wanted peace, but because they had been beaten. Inside the main hall, leaders from different parts of the city gathered. Captain Laura Price stood at the center with General Solian. Though the alien commanders, once doubtful and cold, now stood beside her like equals. The Drexar may return, Solian said. We cannot forget that, but now we know how to fight. We're, not alone. Laura looked around the room. We came because no one else did. But you fought beside us. You learned. You grew stronger. One of the younger officers, Nira, stepped forward. What happens now? Do you stay? Laura smiled. We came to help, not to take over. Your world is yours, but we will not be far. In the refugee camps, Rachel Moore moved through the families. She helped set up new tents and clean water lines. Wounded were healing. Children played in the open again. One child handed her a flower. She took it and placed it in her coat. She didn't say much, but her smile told enough. Josh Lane was fixing a power relay with Liren. The system now used parts from both alien and human tech. It worked better than before, Aaron said. Our people have never worked with others like this. You showed us something new. Josh replied, sometimes you just need a fresh pair of hands. Tyler Brooks stood on the edge of the city. He watched the horizon with a silent look. Nero walked up beside him. Thinking about leaving, she asked. Always, Tyler said. But not today. She nodded, like a warrior. But you speak like a teacher. War teaches fast. Too fast sometimes. That evening, a ceremony was held in the city center. People lit fires and placed stones for the fallen. Alien voices sang an old song of memory. Human hands held alien ones. There were no long speeches, just silence, respect. General Solian gave the only words of the night. We remember the day our allies turned away. We remember the day the humans came, not to rule, not to lead, but to fight with us. When no others would, he turned to Laura. We offer you a seat in our war council. Laura shook her head. This is your council, your people. We will help if needed, but we are not here to lead. Solian nodded. Then take this instead. A mark of trust. A sign that Virelia is not alone. He handed her a small metal token shaped like the sun and stars. Laura took it and held it in her hand. The next morning, the Horizon Spark stood ready. The human crew loaded the last of their supplies. Some aliens gathered nearby, watching in silence. Rachel said goodbye to the medics. One of them hugged her tightly. You saved more than lives, the alien woman said. You gave us hope. Josh shook hands with Liren. Don't let those wires burn out again, Liren laughed. Not without you to fix them. Tyler gave Nira a small data chip. It has flight paths, training notes. Use them. I already planned to, she said. Laura looked at the people gathered around. She said, we came because it was right. Not because we were strong. You are strong now. Make sure others know. The ship lifted slowly. Dust rose around it. Children waved. Soldiers saluted. The Horizon's spark flew up into the sky and disappeared. Into the clouds, back on the ground, the people of Virelia stood quietly. They knew the humans might never return. But their presence had changed everything. Not just the battle, but the spirit of the people. News of what happened spread across nearby systems. Other planets heard the story. A world left alone, saved not by fleets or big promises, but by a small human ship and a crew that refused to turn away. On distant worlds, some laughed. Some called it luck, but others listened closely. They began to ask questions. Who were these humans? What made them so dangerous to the Drexar? What made them choose to fight when all others stayed silent? In the dark halls of the Drexar High Command, the leaders spoke in low voices. Their ships had failed. Their fear weapons had not worked. One voice said, "It was only a few of them." Another replied, "Yes, and that is the problem." Back on Earth, a message came through. It was short, a signal from Varelia. One word, "Thanks." With that, the story of Varelia joined the growing legends told across the stars. The humans had come with no flags, no orders, no allies. It's just a will to stand where no one else would. They were not many, but they were enough. They were not loud, but they were heard. They were not called, but they came.